So what I want to do in this episode is make the dimensional transceiver. And this is from the Ender IO mod. It works like the Tesseract from, I think it's thermal expansion. It allows you to transport items, fluids, and power wirelessly over any distance and between dimensions. Now, it says power, but that of course is going to be RF power. I'm guessing it's not going to transport EU power. I would seriously doubt it. It's not an EU device. But I can still use it to transport items and fluids, and more specifically, I'm really interested in having it transport fluids. So, the way that it is made is, you can see here, there's 4 dark steel ingots, one of these ender resonators, which requires an Enderman head, a vibrant alloy, solarium, silicon plates. This is in the slice and splice. The vibrant alloy is an alloy of energetic alloy and ender pearls. Energetic alloy is an alloy of gold ingots and blaze powder. Then you have an octatic capacitor, which is made from 2 double layer capacitors, glowstone, and some molten vibrant alloy. We just saw what the vibrant alloy is from. Or I'm sorry, the vibrant alloy. Yeah, vibrant alloy we just saw. And then the double layer capacitors are made from basic capacitors and coal dust and energetic alloy. And we saw those as well. And then, of course, the basic capacitors require this. Turns out that making an octatic capacitor requires a lot of gold. A lot of gold. Just a ton of gold. Let's see, you have to have 4 of these, so that's 16. Then you're doing this recipe twice, and so that's 12 more. And then recipe once, that's another 6. So that's, what did I say that was? 16 plus 12 is 28, plus 6 is 34. So like a half a stack of gold just to make an octatic capacitor. Crazy. One of these capacitor banks, and this is a higher level capacitor bank. There's a capacitor bank that stores 5 million and a capacitor bank that stores 1 million. This is the higher tiered one, and you can see each one of these requires 4 double layer capacitors, 4 electrical steel, and a block of redstone. And again, a bunch of gold just to make all these double layer capacitors. Again, just really crazy. And then an ender crystal, which requires the soul of an enderman, and a vibrant crystal, which is emerald, and 8 nuggets of vibrant alloy. So again, even more gold. And finally, an electric pump, which, crazy of all crazy things, is actually the easiest thing to make in this recipe. And this is why I've had so many problems with gold. In fact, I'm betting I don't even have much gold. I've got 2.5 stacks. I've got more than I thought I did. But for whatever reason, it seems like gold is hard to come by in this mod, in GregTech. And if I go to my GregTech ores book here and look for gold, EFG, there it is, you'll see that gold spawns with magnetite and vanadium and gold, like that. But magnetite can also spawn with iron here. So finding magnetite means you could be finding magnetite with iron, or you could be finding magnetite with gold. So hit or miss on it. But even in that case, the amount of gold in the vein is not that great. So it's pretty hard to come by. And that would normally be fine because GregTech itself doesn't use a lot of gold. So there's not really a need to have a bunch of gold. But this Ender IO mod requires a ton of gold, and not having it has just been a struggle. So anyway, I have already made all of the parts for the dimensional transceiver. And now again, the dimensional transceiver transports items from one dimensional transceiver to another dimensional transceiver. So obviously you're going to need at least 2, because you have to send it to, from one to another. And for the purposes that I have, I'm actually going to make 4 of them. And of course, that didn't work. So let's do this like so. I've got the 4 ender resonators, 4 ender crystals, 4 octadic capacitors, 4 capacitor banks, 4 electric pumps, and 16 dark steel. There we go. 1, 2, 3, and 4. So that gives me 4-dimensional transceivers. But one thing that is important is that the dimensional transceivers themselves require some power. They don't need a lot of power, as you can see. Well, actually, they do require 650 RF per tick on upkeep, so quite a bit of power just to maintain it. That's a little bit more than I was expecting that it needed. Yowzers. But such is life, I guess. We'll see if I can still make use of this. So let's, go ahead and pick these back up. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take one of these dimensional transceivers and I'm going to plop it there, like so. And yes, it is receiving power. That's great. So it will receive power from my main source of power. And so it will have power, which I've said power a few too many times. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a channel. I'm just going to call it, lava. And hit the plus, hit the add channel, and that will add a channel. And then I'm going to put this to receive, like so. Okay, so as you can see, it has power, and again, it does have RF power. So if I wanted, I could send RF power, but obviously I don't think that's going to be terribly, terribly useful to me. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the nether. Actually, the next thing I want to do is, no, yes, that's what I want to do. I want to go into the nether. I don't know if I need anything else. Hopefully I don't, but I guess I will find out. I'm not terribly prepared, so I apologize for that. Okay, so what I want to do is run down here. Whoop. And I want to pick up, first of all, this dimensional anchor. Thank you. And then I need to run all the way down to down here. I have a pump, and as you can see, I was using rails just to transport the lava closer to where I was at. But here I have a pump that pumps up lava, obviously, with some batteries. So we're not going to use the rail carts anymore. So instead, let's do something like this, and we'll set this to extract always. And then I want to put down the other dimensional transceiver like this. And so now I'm going to go into this and we're going to say lava, send. Oh, I think I messed up. I see what it is now. Okay, I did mess up. Each one of these has its own tab. So I believe this one is fluids, this one is items, this one is power. So I want to get rid of that. Okay, I want to receive. Yes, okay. I'm going to change some things, but so I'm going to change this to lava. Lava fluid, just to actually let me make it a little, sorry, this is I want to make sure I can understand what I've done in the future. So fluid lava, and it's going to send fluid lava. And then on the power side, let me get rid of that and get rid of that, and I'm going to say power main and add that channel, and I'm going to receive on that end of things. Okay, so this should send lava through the dimensional transceiver to a dimensional transceiver that is set to receive lava. So let's head back to the base, and I realize what I forgot to do is I need to, I need food, I need to put down the the dimensional anchor to keep this area loaded. So what are my split lines? Like, okay, I guess I can just put it right there. Should be okay. Area 1 by 1 set to server, and then that way it's active without actually requiring any fuel. And I'm just going to make it one size bigger just in case. All right, now I'll head back to base. Okay, so back at the base, now I've got to redo this one. So under the power tab, this is going to send on this power main, which the other one will receive on, and it's already running low on power. That's not a good sign. And on the liquid, I want to receive lava fluid. Now, theoretically, that should mean if I get out some conduits here, let's take this out here, so, and we just run a conduit like this up to the dimensional transceiver and set this to extract always, and this to insert. Now that should theoretically transmit lava, but I seem to have a problem with power, and I think that's because there is no power. Yeah, I am all out of power. Whew, that's not good. Okay, I need to... Well, I'm trying this again. I went and got... I can't figure out how many EU per tick I'm generating. GregTech isn't simple enough to be able to do that for me anyway. But I went and grabbed a drum of oil, and this is actually screwing things up a little bit. So let's disable that. And so that is sending its oil out. Now this had 256,000 256,000 liters of... I keep hitting the wrong button. I apologize. It's very late at night and I am tired. This had 256,000 liters of oil in it. As you can see, I have much more than that now. So now that that's empty, I'm going to take that out. I'll take that out too. So if this is gaining oil, then oil is definitely being transported through the dimensional transceiver. Now, in addition, the local buffer seems to be okay. Yes, that seems to be all right. It is sending power on main, and it is receiving fluid on oil. So that's actually pretty good. Now let me see. I'm not yet getting any power in these batteries. So I hope I'm not just generating power that's just enough to get me my oil, which would not be ideal. But this tank is definitely filling with oil, so I'm obviously filling the oil. It's obviously coming from the oil fields, which are way over here. You can see there's a bunch of oil fields here. So when the particular oil spout that I am tapping into right now runs out, I can go over here and move it to a new one. So that's pretty nice. That oil field is... I don't know if you can see it on there or not. Let's try looking at it over here, maybe. What does it say? It's about 2,100 blocks away. So it is quite a distance away. So this is still filling up. And I just want to see if I am actually generating... Okay. So I am generating more power than is required for the production of, or for than just for using to send oil through the dimensional transceivers. But Probably not by much by the looks of it. Now that isn't, I don't see any oil going through there now. Did it stop? Yeah, this oil is going down. The batteries may have run out on that pump over there. I'd have to go check. And am I still generating a net positive amount of energy? I am, but very, very slowly. So again, I'm not sure that this is entirely worth it. I did not know it was going to cost 650 RF per tick just to have these things running. Again, 180 roughly EU per tick. And there's 3 of them. One at the lava source, one at the oil source, and then one here receiving. So nearly 600 EU per tick. So again, just not entirely certain that it is worth doing. And since I need to head back over to those oil fields, I will show you something. I have upgraded my armor here with a glider, and it does as it says. It enables gliding. You can toggle it with the letter G, and if you are in the air and pushing forward, you glide like that. Doop. And at any point in time, if you stop moving forward, you will just come straight down, or you can hit the shift key and you'll come down as well. But what I can do is get there's a couple different things I can do. What I was going to show you is I'll get a couple stacks of sand, and I can do something extremely silly, because basically if I go to the top of a tall height, I can glide for a long period of time. So all I got to do is make a huge pole of sand, and the reason that I use sand is I could use gravel as well, but with sand all I have to do is break the bottom block, put in a torch real quick, and all of the sand will come down. So I don't have to like dig it all back out or anything ridiculous like that. I can have it pretty quick. So, oh, I thought I had some more sand. There it is. So keep going with the sand until I hit either the top of the world or I run out of sand. So let's go. That looks like I'm at the top. And then all I have to do is aim towards my thing. I should sleep. And as ridiculous as this is, I can probably sleep right here at the top of the world on top of this big, large pole of sand. Okay, but all I got to do is hit G to make sure my glider is active and jump off. And I start gliding towards my destination. Now, I may not make it all the way. I'm not entirely certain, but yeah. So this episode is going to end up being longer, or I know it's going to be longer than I was anticipating. So I say episode, and it's probably going to be 2 episodes. I will do my best to not make it more than 2 episodes. There was just some useful information in there that I think anyway could be useful to some people. So I wanted to include that. And now I'm having all this derping around with the dimensional transceivers. Honestly, the last time I used the Ender IO mod, the dimensional transceivers used 10 RF per tick, and maybe they still do. The 650 RF per tick may be an adjustment made either by GregTech or by Jason McCrae, the author of the Modpack, or his developers, in order to make so that dimensional transportation of fluids and liquids and items and power and all that would not be so easy to accomplish, which, you know, you can agree with it or disagree with it however you like, but if you intentionally pick a mod pack that calls itself GregTech hard mode, you have to expect that things are not going to be easy. I mean, it's just not. So if GregTech and or the mod pack has changed the dimensional transceivers so that instead of being 10 RF per tick, they are 650 RF per tick, as frustrating as that might be, I I can understand why. I can understand the reasons for doing it. The only thing that I may not be happy about is all of the resources that I put into making the dimensional transceivers. Primarily a lot of gold and a lot of time. And yes, I could have avoided that issue by having only made one, and then I would have seen what what it would have been, and then I would have realized that I didn't have to do it. I shouldn't have made 4 right off the bat. But there's also a part of me that says, well, as difficult and as complicated as it was to make the dimensional transceiver, that in and of itself should have been enough of a cost, adding an additional or multiplying the cost of the power transfer, the power required for it by 65 times is an additional heated cost. Once you get to the point where you can make such a thing, you should be able to have that transfer for free. But not everybody's going to agree with that. And again, it's just the way it is. I respect the decisions of mod makers and Modpack makers. There is reasons why they do the things that they do. Okay, so here we are, and a little bit of me rambling. Not too exciting, I know. But here we are at, and I get some lag spikes. There we go. Is the terrain and whatever else needs to generate. So we can go back up here. And this is probably the reason I am not able to keep decent power here. So that is not a good sign. And indeed, the battery is dead. So put in a new battery, and now looks like we are sending oil through. Where is the pump itself? There it is. So the pump is pumping, and the drum is not staying full, which means it is being sent through the dimensional transceiver. Okay, I am going to make my way back. I'm not going to make you sit with me as I fly all the way back. But this is what I meant. All I gotta do is throw down a torch, and all this sand will break. It's very simple and easy and fast. But I will make my way back to the base and give you an update once I get there. And once again, back. And the oil is going up. So oil is going up. Lava still going up. A little bit slower. I have a slower pump on the lava than I do on the oil. And this dimensional transceiver seems to be okay, but as we saw, the other one was struggling. And my power, is this still going up? It is still going up. Okay, so again, hate to reinforce the point, but I really don't think this is going to be worthwhile. I can already tell once I kick in some machinery and start doing some other stuff, I'm going to have way too many issues as far as transmitting or having enough power to work and do stuff. So, but there you have it, the dimensional transceiver. Bit too expensive to operate in this particular world. I could, of course, create some other source of power just using RF power and then utilize that to simply operate these dimensional transceivers. I have specifically been trying to avoid creating power using anything other than GregTech power. Mainly because making RF power is really super easy. And it's sort of, in my mind, it defeats the purpose for me of wanting to use GregTech and utilize GregTech primarily. Honestly, Big Reactors mod is in this mod pack. I could easily and simply set up a big reactor and create thousands of RF per tick, which would easily power these dimensional transceivers. But again, for me, thematically, wanting to keep to GregTech, as much as possible for the power, because of the challenge that it creates for me, that's what I'm going to try to hang on to. So probably won't be using this too much anyway. I think I've gone on long enough. Again, I know this will be more than one episode, and hopefully it won't be too terribly disjointed and confusing. But things just kind of got longer than I was anticipating. So that's the way it goes sometimes. So there you have it, dimensional transceiver. If you have any questions or comments, if you just want to say hi, leave it for me in the comment section below so that I can read it and respond to it. As always, thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you next time.